Hi guys, it's Alex from Phantom Media here as part of our ongoing coverage of the University of Derby Student Union elections. I am joined today by
Stuart Hall.
beautiful Stuart. And what role are you standing for, sir?
I'm standing for the role of VP Activities.
What drew you to the particular role, Stuart?
I've been the Union of Students rep before when I was at the University of Warwick. I ran the technical services group there. And now that I'm at Derby, I want to become involved with the whole range of activities and sports that the students at Derby can become involved with.
Super. What is your primary aim if you were to succeed and be elected as VP Activities?
I want to make sure that even in these COVID times that we extend, expand and make available as many activities and sports as is possible for the students. And I want to bring new sports and activities into the realm for the students at Derby.
Brilliant. And what is your particular perception of the Union of Students right now?
I think it's doing a brilliant job. I think it's obviously at the moment with COVID, it's really difficult. A lot of things can't happen. We're not able to meet up. And for me, one of the things about being a student is being able to meet up with other students and become involved in not just the academia at the university, but to be able to get involved in doing other things that maybe up to this point we haven't been able to do before.
Is there anything that you would change?
Only by trying to bring on some new activities into the Union of Students.
Super. All right. So they were the first set of questions there were just to try and get and understand you as a candidate and for people to try and get to know you. These next couple are going to be a little bit job interviewee. So apologies for that, really. So how do you solve problems in a professional setting?
It depends what the problem is, but you analyze the problem, you look at what the range of solutions to a particular problem might be. You then discuss those solutions with everybody involved in solving that problem. And as a group, you come to a consensus, an agreement as to what is the best way forwards. And then you move down that path.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And then with the role of VP Activities, when you get elected, for example, like if you were to get elected when this whole process was off, we'd have a massive party, we'd celebrate, we'd have a little dance, and there'd be champagne all over the place. I can just imagine it like a Formula One style one, especially with you, Stuart. But when that actually happens, then you then get headshots and everything like that, and your face is plastered over every single place in the campus. Like you also have every single person that is involved with sport, activities, or any student really knowing exactly who you are. So that all of that brings a sense of publicity, fame, attraction. How is it that you would deal with that?
Just as I've dealt with it. For the last many years, I've worked at relatively high levels in companies. I've been the executive director of GPON and FTTP for Etisalat, which is the telecommunications company in the Emirates. So dealing with things like that for me is just part of everyday life and everyday work. It's not a problem. It's something that I enjoy. And that's one of the reasons that I've stood for the post of Vice President Activities.
Superb. So you've already touched a little bit on COVID-19 and the coronavirus situation already so far today. I want to touch on it a little bit more, if that's okay.
Of
So
course.
it is no secret that it has affected students throughout the world and throughout the country, especially. Even in the University of Derby, students have felt a lot of pressure. They've also felt that their student experience has been dwindled, and there are some that feel the university hasn't done enough. Whether that's in response to certain things that the government have said or just in general. What do you think the Union of Students should do in response to students being a little bit critical of not only the union, but the university itself?
Well, I have to say, I've not heard many students that are critical of the Union of Students, but I have heard many that are critical of the university. And I have done a number of master's degrees before this one. Some of them online whilst I was working out in the Middle East, because I was based out there for 10 years. And in all of those courses, we've had a lecture and tutorial ratio at least twice what we're getting from the University of Derby. So I think one of the things that Derby needs to do, and it needs to do quickly, is to up the number of lecture hours, to slow down the pace that lectures are being delivered online, and to deal with a lot more tutorial time, where as students we can interact with our lecturers and we can get at least something like a normal face-to-face university experience, because as students at the moment we're not getting that, and I feel that the University of Derby is letting its students down in that respect.
So how would the role of VP activities support what you've just said?
I think directly it probably wouldn't, but through the other members of the Union of Students, it would be a case of working with them and supporting them in their interaction with the university to try and get the results that we want.
And with this year, what us at Phantom have kind of called it, we've called it the virtual year, because everything has been online and virtual. It's a little double entendre pun. We're quite clever over here. But there have been lessons to take from this year. I've learned brand new things. I'm sure you have as well. Both personally and professionally, is there anything that you think that you've learned this year that you can take into next year from everything being virtual?
Well, I'm on a one-year course. So for me, this is just 1 year of very intensive learning. And I think we have to accept that COVID is not just a 1 year intrusion onto students' learning. It's actually 2 years now, because by the time we get to the end of this academic year, the 2019-2020 year will have been affected, and the 2020-2021 year will have been affected. But I think one thing that needs to be dealt with by the university is, even if it's in small numbers, even if it's massively socially distanced, we do need access to the technical facilities at the university. For courses like mine, it's impossible to do it without being able to get onto the campus and get into the labs. And somehow they need to work out a way of enabling us to do that, even if it's more sessions, spread, smaller numbers. They can't just do what they did in December, which was close down the laboratories for 3 weeks. So we were doing practical work that had to be written up and handed in, and then suddenly we had no access to labs for 3 weeks. That is just unacceptable, because depending on how people approached the tasks at the beginning and how far they get through the problem, determined how well they were able to write their submission. And obviously those of us that planned, scheduled, project managed our tasks to have access to the labs up until Yule, to suddenly find that we were thrown out of those labs for 3 weeks and not given any way of mitigating the effects of that on our submission, for me, that really wasn't an acceptable way forwards.
Thank you for your time, Stuart.